English 101. This is Professor Rand once again. What you're looking at is not a PowerPoint this time around, but for this video, you're looking at the desktop to my work computer. Specifically, I have the file for our Draft Workshop 1 checklist pulled up, which you can find on Blackboard if you navigate to Course Documents, where I've clicked, to Essay 1 Unit, to Draft Workshop 1 checklist. So I know I gave everybody two, but if you lose one or if you want to print off more, you can download the document file by simply clicking this link. It will give you this, which is our checklist. And what I want to do with this video is I want to take you guys through what I'm expecting for the Draft Workshop checklist, what I'm expecting. So first and foremost, you want to put your name. I'll put my name, Professor Boran, right here, and then the date that we decided to do this. Say we decided to do this on February the 3rd, which is today. Make sure I spell that right. We'll say our group members. We'll be sure to put their full names here, but we'll use the hypothetical names. Let's do Hillary. Let's do Michael, and let's do Donald. All right. Say we are covering Hillary's essay first. All right. So we'll put their name right here. Now, if you'll notice, in big letters here with a circle around it, we have the word transition circled. So that's a reminder that throughout the piece, circle the important notable transitions, which there might be a few of them in this essay. So what this table here shows you is on the left column here, which is the smaller one, the organizational flow of the essay. The introduction and the features of the introduction, the body and those features, and the conclusion. So when it comes to reading each of these parts, what I would like you guys to do is, and for example, say Michael, Donald, and I are reading Hillary's essay. We would first read the introduction and then answer these questions. Then we would go to the body, read each body paragraph, where if you notice each of these columns is reserved for a body paragraph, and would answer the following questions here. All right. I'll show you what you need to write down for each box. You just want to kind of write down a few notes in this box. You kind of want to show me that obviously you've read your group member's essay and you have an understanding of what they do well and what they could improve on. So let's start with Hillary's hypothetical essay. Michael, Donald, and myself will read the introduction, and then we will move to our first question. All right, what is the essay about? We would simply write down the subject. Let's say the essay is about making vegetarian chili, my favorite example. How do they establish credibility? Well, if we've read through Hillary's essay, we may find that Hillary had written that Hillary has made a single recipe of chili for over 10 years. Right? I'll make this smaller so our thing doesn't go so much out of whack. So we would simply just write down this note here, just really brief, showing that you know that not only Hillary has specified her subject in the intro, but has established credibility through giving an anecdote. If these things are missing, you want to suggest to your partner what they might be able to add. When it's done, please put a check mark here. I put a V here. Yes, it's the closest thing on my keyboard that looks like a check mark. So we'll keep with the V's here for this. Next, we want to look for the thesis. It should be at the end of the introduction. It should detail what the subject and position is and see if they offer some reasoning. All right. We'll say, for example, Hillary's thesis is making vegetarian is important for college students. This thesis, if we've noticed, might be a little underbaked because it doesn't really offer any reasoning or explain why it's important. So perhaps we would note to Hillary through reading this essay that she should offer some reasoning. After we're done with that, we'll put a check mark by the thesis, and it certainly would help for your group member to underline their thesis on their piece so that they know that that's the important central idea that each of their body paragraphs should refer back to. That's all for the introduction. Then you would want to go in and read each paragraph that comprises the body. All right. There are 4 things we want to look for in every body paragraph. We want to look for a topic sentence detailing what the paragraph is about, steps using command verbs, which I've abbreviated as CMDV, and concrete descriptions, which I've abbreviated as CONCD, that very clearly tell our audience how to do the subject or how to go through this process. We want to look and see if the author has used narrative in any of these paragraphs to help illustrate the process. And then we want to make sure that our author provides the analysis, which should be in every body paragraph, talking about why this step is important and how does it lead to the finished product. Finish I've abbreviated as fin here. All right. We also want to look for cause verbs and see if the author uses those. So let's say Hillary's first body paragraph is about buying ingredients of vegetarian chili. So we just simply put what the main idea is here. If we read Hillary's second paragraph and the main idea is preparation, we would just want to put the thing right there. All right. After we've done that, it'd be a good idea to underline the topic sentence in the paper for your partner and check it off. Be sure that there's a flow to it. Be sure that they use these transitions. Now would be a good time to maybe see if they've used a topic sentence or transition, sorry, in a topic sentence. For the first step, they would want to use something like first or to begin. For the second step, you would want to use something like second or next. We want to make sure that the process progresses logically. We know that process analysis essays are in chronological order, meaning the order is already built in before you've written the essay. But we want to make sure that our essay progresses in a logical order regardless. After we've looked at the topic sentence, then we want to look at their steps. We want to see if they use command verbs or in concrete descriptions. Command verbs, again, are verbs that begin a sentence. They give very clear instruction to your audience. For example, we'll say Hillary uses the command verb buy at the beginning of one of her steps. Buy black beans for the chili. We want to make sure that we're starting with the verb as opposed to starting with something like you should. All right. We want to avoid using the second person in this essay. So we would want to show Hillary through this part that maybe instead we should emphasize the command verb. We also want to use concrete details or details that are specific. What I've also put here is best EX or best example and lacking. So I think it'd be a good idea to underline the best example of a step or underline areas that are lacking and point that out to your group member. Once you're done with that, check it off. Let's move on to the narrative. We don't need to give narrative in every single paragraph in this essay, but it's good to have at least one or two to help illustrate the process and add some more credibility. So we'll say that Hillary in her essay has added narrative to the body paragraph detailing about buying ingredients. Perhaps she gave a narrative about a time when she bought, for example, kidney beans instead of black beans, and how she ended up learning that because after she bought kidney beans that black beans were better. When Hillary tells that story that shows how she learned the importance of buying ingredients as a step in the process, you want to make sure that it's obviously relevant. And then you want to see if they use sensory details. If you find some good sensory details, you might underline. If you see some places that could use some sensory details that could be developed a little more, give it an underline too. After we're finished with that, we want to move on to analysis, which relates the step back to the thesis. The analysis answers the question, why is this step important? And how does it lead to the finished product? You want to make sure that they are able to relate back to the thesis after giving their steps or their narrative. If the author uses the use cause verbs such as this causes or this allows, maybe this permits, that's a telltale sign that they've moved into analysis. So if they have one of these, you might underline it and circle it to note that. All right. You want to do this for all the body paragraphs that the author gives. Once you're done with the body, you want to move on to the conclusion. There are three things we need to do. We need to restate the main idea. What has changed in the central idea from beginning to end? Put yourself in an audience member's shoes. You read the thesis and you know nothing about the process, and then you go through the steps and learn a lot about it. What's changed in the audience's mind? Basically, you might consider rewording the thesis and representing it with emphasis on the finished product. If the author doesn't do this, you might make a note of it. They want to summarize key points. What are the key points or the key steps of this essay? Is there anything important left out? The author doesn't need to repeat every single step that was given, but what are the important ones? Maybe the ones that they provide a narrative on would be ones to emphasize here. Last, we have personal gain and value. I'd like you to underline this one as well. What else can you gain from this process? Is what you gain something that is universal? Think about what else you gain from this process other than the finished product. What else can you gain from making vegetarian chili? Let's say, for the purposes of this video, that Hillary forgot to add some personal gain and value. you and your group might brainstorm ideas. Okay, what else can college students, our audience, get out of making vegetarian chili? Well, we could talk about cooking ability, preparation ability, ability to impress your friends, because we know that everyone loves chili, hence why I use the example a lot. But anyways, by adding this or by recommending this, Hillary can show that this process is more about the finished product and make it more relatable to a wider audience. We check off the personal gain and value, and then we're done with the piece. Another important thing that you should do is go through looking for errors in grammar and spelling and sentence structure as well. These are things that are obvious that come with doing peer review and proofreading, but it's important to emphasize the idea progression. That's going to be a big key to doing this. Once you're done with your whole group, I've listed a survey here at the very end. It asks for general feedback following the workshop. I'd like you to take a moment to answer the questions because this only helps me make workshop better. And again, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Once again, my email, rrand0001@ctcs.edu.